All right, welcome to Rebel Force Radio's live after show. This time around, we are checking out the aftermath of Disney Plus Day. Disney Plus Day, a lot of rumors surrounding Disney Plus Day. We had a whole list of things on Rebel Force Radio this week that were rumored that might happen. It might happen. And we got a couple. We did get a couple of things. We didn't get everything we wanted this year, but all good things for those who wait. But we'll talk about what we did get. We'll make some speculation as to why we might not have seen certain things that were rumored to see. And but you know what? Generally, we're just going to have a good time. We're just going to hang out and talk Star Wars for the next hour and a half or so, all right? So we don't really need a reason to do that, do we? I don't think so. Love doing that. Love doing it with you, especially doing it live here at Rebel Force Radio Live After Show. And not alone, as always, with me, my good friend and yours from Chicago, live, coming into your house right now, Jimmy Mack.
Hey, Jason. Hey, Star Wars fans. Happy to be with everyone for this special edition of the RFR After Show Live. And there's a little bit of aftermath, but not as much as we might have thought. I think we were a little spoiled last year with the big Disney Investor Day. Whoop-de-doo. And there was a lot going on with those announcements. The bottom line is there was hype about this event. Going back as far as September 21st, the official Star Wars Twitter handle was tweeting teases for Disney Plus Day, saying, mark your calendars. You don't want to miss this. And there were misses.
Yeah. Well, I think, look, they have so much. Disney controls so much IP, and there's going to be a ton of competition. You can't get it all in even when you do a whole day. But I also think that in addition to that there are subcultures and different subcultures within the Disney umbrella. And those subcultures, I think, have their own way of doing things, their own way of rolling things out. And one of the hallmarks of Lucasfilm, and it goes back decades, has been secrecy. Always a shroud of secrecy when it comes to these types of things, and what to show us, when to show us, how much to show us. They're very aware, as we heard Dave Filoni say many times. Well, we don't want to show you these things. People get their hopes up, and then and then they're disappointed, and we want to surprise you, whatever. So that is just par for the course, I think. But at any rate, we want to start out. Oh, first of all, we are going to be taking your calls. So wait a little bit longer into the program. We have our wonderful call screener with us, Mr. Tyler Page. He's getting settled in right now. Always great to have Tyler. So we will be taking those calls in a little bit. The number will be up on the screen when we are ready to open those lines. So just sit tight. In the meantime, what we thought we'd do is we'd give you the news. This is the news coming out of Disney Plus Day.
I have good news for you, my lord.
That's good news. Come closer, I have good news.
All right, now this one, I got to tell you, this one, we were a little spoiled here. The Kenobi sizzle reel. The Kenobi sizzle reel, which came out on Friday. This leaked, and I don't know how many of you listening actually saw this Thursday afternoon, but Jim, we saw it. And I got to say, I went through it, and when I went through it at first, I'm like, I don't know that we really saw anything. And then when I went back and hit pause on all that concept art, then my mind started, being blown, because as I'm watching it for the first time, I'm thinking to myself, where's the clip? I want to see the clip. I want to see the clip. I want to see Ewan in the robes. I want to see something. Show me something. Show me the homestead. And I was kind of like, yeah, that's cool. Concept art. Yeah, whatever. And it was just going by so quickly. It was a very short piece, like a minute and a half or whatever. So then once I got through the initial disappointment of not actually seeing footage from Kenobi and paused on that concept art, then I started really getting excited and sending it to friends and saying, you got to look at this. You got to look at this. So,
yeah, it was kind of a surprise we didn't get any Kenobi footage, actual footage from the show, seeing that shooting on the series is wrapped up. Gosh, what, maybe a month and a half, 2 months now.
yeah.
So there's been plenty of time in post-production to whip up a trailer or just some sort of little simple highlights or even behind the scenes footage. Lord knows we were getting behind the scenes footage, sizzle reels from Andor 2 years ago.
Right.
More than 2 years ago. So it's a little confusing why the Kenobi thing is being kept under wraps. Jason, I think you're right on with the security, the secrecy, not the security, the secrecy.
Mhm.
The security of secrecy is what they're looking for.
Yeah.
And the Filoni factor. He's an executive now at Lucasfilm, and he's always believed not to give him too much.
Mm-hmm.
And he learned that from George Lucas, quite honestly.
Right.
So I just think that it's kind of prudent to sit on actual footage maybe until after the Book of Boba Fett is underway. Maybe we might not even see any footage for Kenobi until after the Book of Boba Fett has wrapped up its run, its 8-week run.
Yeah.
We might get the trailer at the end of the last episode of Book of Boba Fett.
I was thinking about that. You know, they might be onto something. Now, I think the reason that we got that sort of prologue to Book of Boba Fett as sort of an epilogue to Mando Season 2 was because of the crossover of characters and situations. And we may find out that Boba Fett is sort of a season 2.5 of The Mandalorian. There's one way to do it. But another way to look at that is what a great platform to release a sizzle, a teaser, or something of the next thing that's going to be hitting the platform on that final episode. Kind of like how the Marvel films have done these post-credit sequences, to such degree. So I think that would be great. I would love that. And that would also, I think, really hype up these season finales for Disney Plus.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And it just helps that the dominoes kind of fall in a direction too.
Yeah.
So as soon as one wraps up, you're getting hyped up for the next one. And I like that. I like that. Now, I think a lot of people were disappointed in the Star Wars presence during Disney Plus Day. And that could be for a couple of reasons. I think that the day would have been bigger if they held back the Book of Boba Fett trailer. Why release it on a random Monday when they had this big event just coming up the next week?
Right.
Why did they have to rush to get that trailer out? They should have included it in their hyped up event. Also, I think the news of the Patty Jenkins film getting put on ice may have rearranged some pieces on the playing field,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that could have changed the rhythm in which these announcements are being made. But with the Kenobi sizzle reel in particular, the wind was really taken out of the sails for Star Wars on Disney Plus Day because the video leaked the day before.
Yeah.
On Thursday, the video leaked by Disney Plus Hotstar, which is an international wing of Disney Plus. And so they released
okay. See, I didn't know who had leaked it. Oh man. It's like, we used to love getting those links from the foreign IMDb pages and things like that. I remember we found a few little juicy tidbits back in the day. So once again, and because of the, time differences and all that stuff. And I think sometimes other, we know that IP and copyright law and all that stuff is very different in other countries. And they may not just be as precious about this stuff as we are, but that's interesting. I didn't realize that.
And it also appears that this sizzle reel is the same thing investors saw last December during the Disney Investor Day. Remember during the presentation, certain things were blacked out so non-investors couldn't see it?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
The Kenobi sizzle reel was that. So it's really old material shot before anything was put in front of cameras for Kenobi.
Wow. Okay.
And again, it features all concept art and no actual footage. But just the fact that it leaked a day early, it was like the only big thing that Lucasfilm had to release on Disney Plus Day outside of their Boba Fett documentary.
Right. Yeah.
Which, for as good as it was, the documentary, it could have been dropped at any given time. I mean, it just seemed like a Blu-ray extra feature or something. It was
totally
really
agree.
Newsworthy.
I totally agree. Yeah, we that'll be coming up later. We'll break that down as well. But let's get through. Let's look at some of this concept art. Now, I know you did bring us an audio clip of you and Deborah Chow from the sizzle reel. You want to hit that first, and then we'll go in and look at the concept art, or?
Well, yeah, they're basically talking about my favorite piece of concept art from the whole reveal, and that is the image of Ben fighting with Vader. Nailed it. It's right there on the screen. Yeah. And that is breathtaking. That is a breathtaking piece of artwork.
Well, and this answers so many questions and a lot of speculation. If this is true, if this happens, then we know that that was not the last battle. There isn't going to be, that Pee-wee's Big Adventure concept where they just keep missing each other, or the Anakin versus Grievous thing where they just keep missing each other,
right?
To keep the continuity. They are going to, according to this, face off once again, and it looks like it's Mustafar again, which is, I mean, we don't know that for sure, but it looks like it very well could be Mustafar.
It does. And that would be interesting if this happened within the realm of Vader's castle. That would be very interesting.
Yeah. What was the big fight where was it Frazier and Muhammad Ali that had their big rematch? Was that the Thrilla in Manila? Am I remembering that right? Is that what this kind of is? I mean, this is like this if it actually takes place on Mustafar, Kenobi versus Vader a second time. I can see some fans saying, "Oh, okay, well, why a replay of this same circumstance, same setting?" But I think this is cool. I think that by keeping them in the same setting as we saw them in Revenge of the Sith, I think you can do a lot dramatically, especially with the change, the evolution of the characters. When last we saw them in the same circumstance, we know what happened. Now they've evolved, they're older, what have you, and now let's see how this plays out. Obviously, it's going to play out differently.
Yeah. And, the Ali-Frazier rivalry in the 70s was some of the most exciting events in sports of that decade. And it only makes sense for them to have a rematch because, Ali and Frazier did fight 3 times. So by having this showdown in the Kenobi series, that will give us 3 showdowns between Ben and Vader. So
and by the third one, they're old and they can't move the way that they used to, So I mean, it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense.
Now I know some fans are nervous. Yeah, they're nervous about what this will do to retcon continuity for the precious and very holy trilogy, the original trilogy. But I don't know. Who doesn't look at this concept art of Vader facing off against Ben Kenobi, presumably on Mustafar, as you say, Jason? I mean, how does your mouth not water as a Star Wars fan? Are you not dying to see this?
Yeah. Now, here's another take, okay? If it's not Mustafar, this could be, some sort of Imperial ship that's in the process of crashing, or it's already crashed and there's fire everywhere. And maybe the idea is it's supposed to evoke the memory of Mustafar without it actually being Mustafar. I mean, that's a possibility. I could see them going with that for a dramatic purpose.
Yeah, or perhaps they're dueling within the construction of the original Death Star. And what you're seeing back there in the background, all those explosions are the result of Obi-Wan's tinkering around and setting explosives and trying to sabotage the whole operation.
Okay, so then we have more credence for this. You should not have come back. Now, this is not just you shouldn't have come back to the stage of, intergalactic conflict. Exactly. But you shouldn't have come back to this Death Star. And then you're wondering, well, wait a minute. Okay. Kenobi says that's no moon. That's a space station, which shows perhaps maybe some familiarity, but he has a sense of shock. And perhaps that sense of shock is, oh my God, they really did it. They did it. I can't believe it. I thought that this wasn't, that I stopped this from happening, perhaps.
Right. Well, we know that in the events leading up to A New Hope, the Death Star is really kept on the down low. Mm-hmm. It appears on Jeddah and destroys their city, but Vader makes it very clear to Krennic, there is no Death Star. What happened on Jeddah City was some sort of industrial accident.
Right.
And so the Death Star is kept hidden until it is fully operational. And then at that point, it's set loose on the galaxy to establish rule by fear,
right,
and to make an example of Alderaan. Now, as far as the timeline goes, I think that the Millennium Falcon comes out of light speed just in the minutes following the destruction of Alderaan, as they're navigating through all of the debris from the explosion, because the Death Star is still
fresh.
there.
Right.
The Death Star is still there.
Yep.
So, and also word of its existence had yet to spread around the galaxy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Alderaan was no industrial accident.
Right.
And Vader wasn't walking around saying there is no Death Star anymore. Its presence was intended to be felt at that moment.
Yep.
By the population of the galaxy.
That was its grand debut. Tarkin wanted to make a huge impression on the galaxy.
But as the Millennium Falcon is approaching it, and Luke says they're heading for that small moon, and Ben says that's no moon, that's a space station. Well, how does he know? Because the word hadn't spread around the galaxy yet, because the incident had just happened.
Right. And doesn't Han say it's too big to be a space station? Yeah. It's too big to be a space station. Yeah. And I keep thinking of that look that Alec Guinness gives, that shock. He has this look of shock and horror on his face. And I can't help but think that that's the realizing moment that, those crazy, what's actually pulled this off.
Yeah. That's when the hits the fan.
Right.
So,
right. But we have an audio clip here.
This is yourself in that perspective, because it's really, rewinding a lot.
Oh,
to put yourself in that era between the prequels and the original trilogy.
Yes, and everything that we know that does come between those. There's stuff that we already know, track that that's already been laid. So yeah, it does sometimes play tricks on you. But we've got an audio clip. This is Ewan and Deborah Chow talking about this particular piece of art.
The showdown.
The most beautiful thing of all is that it's brought me back together with Hayden.
We are bringing back Hayden Christensen to reprise the role of Darth Vader. We couldn't tell the story of Obi-Wan Kenobi without addressing Anakin or Vader.
Have another swing at each other might be quite satisfying for everybody.
Wow, I think about heavily edited.
Oh,
it's so heavily edited. But those are interesting comments to be making while looking at that concept art.
mm-hmm.
It was funny. Variety was running a story this week talking about how it was breaking news that Anakin would be facing off against Vader, Anakin and Obi-Wan would have a rematch in the Kenobi series. They were talking like it was just breaking news, but Kathleen Kennedy made it very clear when she announced the series 2 years ago at the one of the Comic Cons. I think it was San Diego when they brought Ewan out.
That's right.
3 years ago.
No.
It was a long time ago.
But I thought I thought it was during the Investors Day last year when didn't she say the word rematch?
Yes.
I think that was, and that's what made people start thinking, oh, we're going to see them face off.
That's right. That's when she made the announcement that Hayden was going to be on the show.
Ah, that's correct. Yes.
That's when that happened. The Kenobi series itself was announced by Kennedy and Ewan at, I think it was San Diego Comic-Con.
Yes. When they finally,
years ago.
they finally stopped making him lie and looking silly like he was out begging for work.
See how long these productions can fester and stick around for a long time. I believe they originally approached McGregor about doing a Kenobi film as early as 2013.
Wow.
You know, we're rolling into 2022, folks. So it's almost a decade of gestation for this series.
You know,
first it was a movie, now it's a series.
When we were kids, Jim, you think about the agony of waiting, not just between, films, individual films, but to us, the 16-year gap between between Return of the Jedi and Phantom Menace. It seemed like a lifetime.
A lifetime.
But now when we're older, we're like, it must have been nothing to those guys, really. Not nothing, but certainly not to the extent that we felt it, I think, as fans in our teenage years and 20s and 30s waiting for it to happen. Very different.
It's tough to judge from being a kid to being an adult because time, in your perspective of time, definitely moves a lot differently the older you get.
It sure does. Hey, let's look at some more of this concept art. And again, we're going to be taking your calls, so just be patient. We want you to get your thoughts on, what do you think about the big rematch? And what do you think about this concept art? I was really taken with, whoops, wrong one. We'll get to that later. I was really taken with this. We see here that it almost looks like that great statue that Gentle Giant did, and then Sideshow did a figure of that sort of, Obi-Wan, what he looked like between the events of Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. It's almost exactly like that.
It's almost exactly.
Yeah, but here he is on an Eopie. I hope this one doesn't have the gastral problems.
Oh, do you think they're gonna feature a little Eopie farting in the show?
Did you guys hear what George's note was after that first episode?
Flatulation.
He said, "Why didn't the Eopie fart? Where's the Eopie fart? That's what they do. They fart." All right, so here he is. So this is, I think, how he's getting along. And if I remember right, he's on the Eopie when he brings the twins at the end of Revenge of the Sith. So
yes, that's 100% correct. Note the gaffy stick in the back.
Ooh, look at that. Yes, sir. I see it.
He got himself a gaffy stick.
Uh-huh.
And anything else that might be recognizable? I think I see some binocs there, some of those micro binoculars. I can't tell what's on that saddle. And he's got his gear, and that's an interesting look he has too. We've heard that it's not going to be the traditional Jedi robed Obi-Wan Ben Kenobi look, that he's going to have a new look in this show.
Mm-hmm. I think we're
a
seeing it
different
now.
look. That's definitely a different look. He looks more like a nomad, more like a Tusken Raider, actually. If you with the loose wrappings on his arm, and that's going to be interesting.
Oh, so. Jeff in the chat is correcting me. Jeff, good call. I did say he brought the twins on the Eopie. No, he didn't. He brought Luke on the Eopie. All right.
One of the twins.
Technicality, just one of the twins.
Yeah.
Here's a close-up shot of what we can expect from him. So very tattered, and oh God, I can see myself having to make this costume for Halloween next year.
Yeah. That's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, right. But no, this is great. And I do love that they have, I think, been influenced by the look of that great Gentle Giant statue and subsequent Sideshow figure. Really cool.
Merch that influences the story or the aesthetic.
Yeah. Oh
I think
yeah.
that's interesting.
All right, now we get to see some imps. We get to see some of the some stormtroopers, and I'm digging this. This looks like it almost has like a cathedral look. Jim, this does not have your typical Empire architecture, on the inside. It doesn't have like the the little capsule or pill-shaped windows. It just doesn't have that. So this looks like maybe maybe this is occupation by the stormtroopers here on some other planet. Just again, speculation. I just don't look at this and say, Imperial design.
The first thing I thought of when I saw this was the Jedi Temple.
Okay. Yeah.
Could this be an Imperial occupation of the Jedi Temple? I'm not so sure, because when I looked close, at first I thought that was some sort of Art Deco design on the floor. But then as I look closer, it appears to be more of maybe a trapdoor sort of situation, or like it looks like it opens up, or it's some sort of machinery. I can't really tell. And then the wall is definitely of Imperial design. It's just the big windows. Some people were saying this looks like it could be underwater.
Oh, yeah, because of that green.
Base.
Yeah. Also, yeah, right. The way it's lit, the lighting, this is not your typical Imperial. It's just not the aesthetic of the Empire.
Yeah, what's outside the window? Like tree trunks? What is that?
What is that?
Very strange. Oh, no, that's not tree trunks. I think that's the outside frame of the window, like the sill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
so,
cool.
It looks more temple-like.
Right. All right. And this looks like, I don't know my ships very well, so you guys in the chat can tell us if this is something that we've seen before. It looks to me as something new, but we definitely see a couple of stormtroopers and maybe a prisoner there that they're transporting, perhaps.
Yeah, it looks like some kind of Imperial shuttle that has the wings that unfold.
Yeah.
Just on first blush, part of me thought, hey, it looks kind of like the old moldy crow from the Dark Forces video game that Kyle Katarn would fly around.
Is that the name of it, really? The moldy crow?
The moldy crow. The moldy crow. I saw the moldy crows on concert.
That's what I call my mother-in-law.
But it appears it's landing on Tatooine. You have the Vaporators in the background. This could be a ship that might be manned by an Inquisitor, an Imperial Inquisitor on the hunt for Ben Kenobi.
Okay, let's talk about that for just a second, because I'm curious. I'm curious.
In front.
Where do we stand with the Inquisitors? Are the Inquisitors still a thing? Is that a concept that's been abandoned?
No,
because it seemed to have fizzled on Rebels. Like, they just sort of dropped it.
No. The Inquisitors were definitely featured in the Jedi Fallen Order video game, which is a huge hit from a couple years ago.
I'm talking about real Star Wars. I mean,
that's real Star Wars. And also they appeared in the Marvel comics.
Again, I'm talking about, all right, fine, you kind of got me there. But still, the fact that Filoni sort of just dropped it in Rebels, that makes me wonder about what the future of that. I like the idea of the Inquisitors. I don't really know why they dropped it, to be honest with you. I thought that was it just kind of fizzled out. Because you had
one main guy who was kind of a compelling character.
I loved him, voiced by Jason Isaacs, and then Sarah Michelle Gellar came in as the sister.
The sister, where they were flying around with those helicopter lightsabers. I think that's just ridiculous.
And so did Filoni, apparently. All right, let's go to our next shot.
Look, it looks like an Inquisitor, though, leading those two stormtroopers.
So not a prisoner, someone leading the troopers. They're guarding him. Okay,
I think that's an Inquisitor. Very Macquarie-esque.
Very
artwork that looks like it could be the exterior of a building on Coruscant, or really just anywhere in the Star Wars galaxy.
But it looks very Star Warsy.
Sure does.
That's what I'm digging about this.
If you look in the lower right hand, you can see Doc Brown's car there, the DeLorean. You see it parked there, Doc Brown's car.
Oh, look at that.
You see, that's the DeLorean, and that's Doc Brown standing right outside. He's got his hood up.
Of course it is. Look, if you can have freaking E.T. in Star Wars, you can have Doc Brown.
Yeah, he can go anywhere he wants. But that's just, it's really a striking bit of
It sure is.
architecture here. Something I've never really even seen before in Star Wars. It looks like it could be, see a bunch of men standing there at a table. It could be a cantina. It could be some part of the entertainment district.
To me, it looked kind of industrial. Like there's, well, maybe not. There's like people hanging around tables. Maybe this is sort of like a cantina bar or something with entertainment.
It seems like Gothic in design to me.
Now this is definitely Coruscant, right? Sorry, we both got to say the same
thing at the same time. But sure, I mean, of course, you have that Blade Runner-esque aesthetic that we've gotten used to seeing in the lower levels of Coruscant.
Right.
Similar to the place where the chase with Zam Wessel happened that led them into the Outlander.
Now, are you seeing what I'm seeing? Like a lot of figures in like hoods or robes?
Yes.
Yeah. Kind of all dressed the same.
Because, you know, the actual design for some of these denizens hasn't actually been settled upon, so they just go with these head coverings. You see a lot of that in Rogue One, though. In Jeddah City, a lot of people wearing head coverings and hoods. Kind of so consistent with current Star Wars design.
Right, right.
Look, snow speeders and a gonk.
That's going to be actually,
and a gonk. That was the series they were supposed to announce on Disney Plus Day. Snow speeders and a gonk. And that got pushed back because Patty Jenkins was supposed to direct that as well.
Oh, too soon.
No time.
Too soon.
No time. No time.
So the snow speeders, where do they come from? Well, I guess we're going to find out.
Well, we know the snow speeders aren't necessarily exclusive to snow because when the rebels arrive on Hoth, they have to adapt the speeders to the cold. So they're just speeders. And it's great to see them because outside of the first part of Empire Strikes Back, we haven't seen this vehicle at all in Star Wars. Not even hinted at.
Right.
In all the different things that
you never even saw like a precursor to it or something that came after. You're right. It doesn't seem to have inspired anything that came afterwards. Yeah, I love it.
Nothing.
This does look snowy to me, though, I will say.
It does. It does. But that person doesn't look like he or she is dressed for cold weather. So it could be a cave. Just a cave.
Yeah, it could
cave
be,
on Tatooine.
Could be fog, actually, that's coming up around that little gonk. So.
Listen, maybe Kenobi discovers a rebel cell on Tatooine. Because think about it. Tatooine was Outer Rim. The Empire had very little interest in the Dust Rock. And Luke said it was the furthest thing away from any action in the galaxy. So it almost makes sense that the rebels would have an established presence somewhere on Tatooine.
And Biggs was recruited.
Yeah.
So how did Biggs get recruited into the rebellion?
Yeah, he told Luke about that. He said he was going to jump ship and join the rebels at some outpost somewhere. And he told this to Luke on Tatooine.
Right.
So maybe that's why Biggs returned to Tatooine upon graduating from the academy, was he had to check in with his local rebel cell. And he was so devoted to the cause, he didn't tell Luke anything about it.
I like that.
Maybe
idea.
he felt like Luke wasn't ready. Because Biggs was definitely the dominant of the pair. He was the big brother to Luke.
Oh, for sure.
Never had.
For sure.
So maybe he just felt for Luke's own health not to tell him that there was a rebel cell hidden away on Tatooine.
Right. And thank goodness for Biggs, because it might have been Biggs's influence that really turned Luke against the Empire. You know?
True. Well, he wanted to go to the academy.
That's right. That's
And
exactly
it's
right.
the Imperial Academy. So Luke was actually, he had desired to join the Empire, even though he hated the Empire. It was just his way off the planet.
Right. Right. Yes. Whatever it took to get him off of that rock. All right. Speaking of Vader's castle, I think now this is a long shot of the next piece, but let's look at the close up, which I think is just chilling. This is one of my all-time favorites. So, I think this, I don't know about you, but I think this throne could give Palpatine's a little run for its money. This is, I think the back is higher on this one right here, but certainly not built for comfort. It's definitely more form over function, I would say. But I have stared at this, and I believe that the figure that he is looking at in this hologram is Kenobi.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is the moment when he realizes that Kenobi's still alive and he's out there.
Wow. On his throne.
Yeah.
Clearly in the tower of his castle on Mustafar, as you can sort of see outside.
Mm-hmm.
So, we get to know a little bit about more what Vader does at home when he's not taking a soak in the back to tank or choking out Imperial officers on the patio. He's up in his throne room looking at holograms.
Yeah.
And boy, that does look impressive to see Vader sitting on his throne like that. And just makes you really, really hungry to see more scenes in this environment and just to see more Vader in general.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Yeah. As we talked about on last week's or this past week's Rebel Force Radio, we heard rumors that the original idea for the big bad in this series was to be Darth Maul. And it was Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau that insisted that it be Vader. And I don't know, Jim. I mean, I love Darth Maul. He tickles the nostalgia and all of that. But when you look at these images, I'm much more excited seeing Darth Vader sitting there than Darth Maul.
Well, of course. One of the most important characters in the history of Star Wars, arguably the most important.
Right.
Arguably. I would put money on it, though. I think Vader is the most important character in all of Star Wars. So very interesting to see him at home, domesticated. I hope he has like some freaky animal pet at home. Like,
oh, interesting.
I don't know, like a dragon, like a dog-sized dragon or something.
I think about like that dog that Christopher Lloyd had in the Star Trek 3. He had that lizardy dog thing.
Mm-hmm. Something along those lines.
That'd be kind of cool. Yeah.
One of those Corellian dogs from Solo.
And then there's, of course, this, which we discussed. So, again, get your questions ready. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the number up on the screen. That way you can get your call in the queue and talk to talk to Tyler about what you want to mention to us. So the number is 708-866-1737. That's 708-866-1737. We do want to talk about Book of Boba Fett. And there was, in addition to the documentary, we did get some key art here for the series. And if you notice, it says original series now streaming. Down there. Oh, no, it's not happening yet. But
I'll tell you, it was a bad week for Lucasfilm. It should have been a huge week for Lucasfilm, but it started off with news going public about Patty Jenkins not being able to do the next film. And then their trailer released a day early, taking the steam out of the big Disney Plus Day reveal. And then this artwork showed up in various places, Disney, social media, etc. The Book of Boba Fett now streaming. They're on fire. They're on fire this week. But somebody pointed out to me that you need to take a closer look at the Slave One. And They think that the Slave One has been fitted with a sand sled of some sort so it can traverse over the desert terrain, much like a skiff or something. But when I took a closer look at this artwork, I believe it's just the wings of the Slave One folded as it does to allow it to land. So I don't know if that is really a sled.
Yeah.
But I just thought I would put it up
And that would be
there.
kind of a inefficient way for that ship to move.
Yeah, I mean, if it can fly.
Right. What do you need to slide for? Yeah.
Well, maybe it got busted or something. I don't know. But I just thought I would share that and add it to the list of fails for
Well,
for
I
those guys
watched
this
the Boba Fett documentary this morning with over a nice cup of Joe Johnston, and
well played.
thank you. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was. Here's the thing. It was, to me, it was not at all a hype piece on the series. It had very little to do with the series, though. Sort of
Right.
the pink elephant in the room was, okay, why are we getting this mini doc on Boba Fett? Well, obviously because they have this series. But as far as just, here's where I was really surprised, and pleasantly so, is the fact that we saw new interviews with George Lucas, with Joe Johnston. I thought the stuff that they did in tribute to Jeremy Bulloch was beautiful, was great. It was so fantastic to see Maureen there and taking part of it and the pride that she had. And I thought, I figured they would talk about Jeremy, but I had no idea that they would do it to the degree that they did. And I'm so happy that they did.
Yeah.
And the fact that Dave was there reminding everybody, because Dave saw, first, he had a front row seat oftentimes to the way Jeremy treated fans. And
Yes.
I don't think there will ever be, and there never has been, a greater friend of the fans and a classier friend of the fans as far as the actors from the films than Jeremy Bulloch.
Oh, what a wonderful guy. He was a true gentleman. And yeah, friend of the fans.
Right.
He would engage people when they would approach him on a level that you rarely see from celebrities who find themselves in convention centers.
Right.
Jeremy would always put himself out there. He wouldn't sit behind a table. He would always stand in front of the table and greet you as you approached and engage you in conversation and listen to what you had to say and would acknowledge your questions and comments, and just a wonderful guy. Just a wonderful guy. I remember I saw him in Japan and I was with some people he knew. And I just stuck my hand out and said, "Good to see you, Jeremy. Jimmy Mack. We've met before." He said, "Oh, yes, of course." And he starts rattling off events where I had met him. And I was floored by that. Because at first I thought he was BSing me.
Yeah.
When he said that stuff. "Oh, yeah, so of course. I'm shaking his hand." And then "Oh, yeah, back in Chicago at Wizard World." I was, "What? You remember that?" "Oh, of course. So he was just a wonderful guy. And the tribute was perfecto. Absolute perfection. I really love seeing that. And just a wonderful guy. We have some interviews with Jeremy that we conducted over the years. At least a couple of them are on our YouTube channel right now at youtube.com/Rebel Force Radio. Look for the In the Cantina interviews and you'll find them. They're audio only, but they're still great pieces of Star Wars history.
Right.
And there were a lot of people interviewed for the Under the Helmet documentary from who have, massive spots in Star Wars history. George Lucas, Joe Johnston, Ben Burt, of course, Dave Filoni, Dwayne Dunham, Steve Sansweet. Great to see Sansweet.
Oh,
And,
that was another one. Yes, I was real happy to see Steve, and Steve got to tell the story of the rocket firing Boba Fett as only Steve can tell it, and demonstrate all the different versions right there because he's got them in Rancho Obi-Wan. And boy, Rancho looked, I just got to say, hats off to Ann and Stu and Bob and Steve. Rancho looked gorgeous in these shots. I thought it
Sure
just
did.
looked beautiful. So it really presented well. So great job by those guys.
Oh, it's been fun to watch that place grow and evolve. In the last 10 years, it's been open as a museum. And everyone loves that bedroom they set up in there to resemble a kid's bedroom from
right.
the 70s. It takes me back. Takes me back. Green shag carpeting, you betcha. Also interviewed D-Lo, Daniel Logan.
Yeah.
And that's the first involvement I've seen Daniel have in an official Star Wars production in the longest time.
Yeah.
You know, we're so used to seeing him all the time. He's always out there, you know, talk about a guy who really observed what Jeremy Bulloch was doing with the fans over the years.
For sure.
And really honors that approach in the way he does things.
Yep.
So, you know, from one Boba to another, we still have great fan ambassadors out there. Just about everyone who played Boba Fett's always been great with the fans.
Yeah.
We had Mark Anthony Austin on the show earlier this year. He played Boba Fett in a special edition. Great guy. Star Wars fan in his own right, and ILM vet. He didn't get any love in this documentary. Unfortunately, neither did Don Bees. Don Bees, who's always been good to fans. And who am I leaving out? Did Dickie Beer appear in the thing?
He did not.
Glenn Randall Jr., though, who did the Boba Fett stunts in Yuma at the sail barge fight.
He was in it.
That was some great footage.
Yeah,
I'd never seen before of George Lucas directing the second unit.
Wasn't that interesting? Yes.
So George was there directing second unit on stuff and handling some Boba Fett stunt work, lining up shots and and setting marks for Glenn Randall Jr., who was really sporting a 70s Elvis look. Did you notice he had the Elvis sunglasses and sideburns?
Yeah, I sure did.
Like, what is this, Elvis Trooper? What is this?
Yeah, that was great footage.
Of course, Tamora Morrison and Ming-Na Wen were also featured in the documentary. We got some highlights. Can we just run through them?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
Okay, the first one is I took all of George Lucas's comments and put them together into a montage so we could hear them all at once. You got George Lucas, and he's sitting there on the back porch at Skywalker Ranch, back porch of the main house. And you just chop up everything he has to say into these little tiny sound bites. And I don't know, I feel like a documentary like this can go a little more in depth. We're not so ADD that we can't hold on to a guy actually completing a sentence.
Right.
And they rarely let George complete a sentence. You know, not that it's competition or anything, but Steve Sansweet got much more microphone time than George Lucas. And that's probably because Steve can articulate Star Wars better than the old GL himself.
I was wondering about George's. I was just thinking that George was getting about as much lines of dialogue in this as Boba Fett got in the original trilogy. There wasn't a lot of George in this. I was glad to see George. You mentioned this being the first sort of official thing that you saw, that we've seen Daniel Logan take part in. This is also one of the first things we've seen George Lucas take place or take part in official Star Wars since the sale.
Well, you know, just this year he was featured in some of those Disney parks focuses on Star Tours. He appeared in that a little bit, and he appeared in something else about the Disney parks. So it's good to see he's still talking Star Wars, that's for sure. We have these clips here.
Yeah.
This is a highlight montage of George Lucas from under the helmet. And specifically, I love the stuff he has to say about the holiday special.
I like the design. I don't think we even changed that much of it. There was a few different versions of it, because each character, when we do it, we do other alternative versions of it to see where we go. I said, this is a good character. People like the bad guys. And then later, they were doing this holiday special. And there wasn't much our involvement, but I came up with the idea, why don't we take the Boba Fett character and put him in that, make a little movie out of it. And that's where it really started. and then over time we put him in the movies. I always liked him, and he was a good character. And then I came and needed another one, so I did Jango Fett, Boba Fett's father. Acting-wise and everything, it was very good to have Tam there because he'd worked the character out, and they were supposed to be the same person, more or less.
I love how he says, I needed another one.
Right.
So it'd be Jingle. That's just how George does it.
Right.
He's got Darth Maul, and he needed another one, so he makes Savage Opress.
Right.
That's all he needs to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll just make another one.
Yeah. I had a Death Star in the first movie. I need another one. So I'll maybe put one in the Revenge of the Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
But George, it's funny when he was talking about the holiday special, he's rolling his eyes while he's talking about it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And he goes, oh, we didn't have much to do with that. We didn't have much involvement.
He said they made it. They made it. Whoever they are.
They are,
the guys he hired to do it. They did it. Those bastards. Rotten sons of. But I don't ever recall George even talking about the holiday special, like ever.
I've read quotes, but I've never seen anything on film. I think that Lynn Hale was credited as a producer on this special, and my theory is that Lynn shot this with an iPhone. I really do. George's stuff.
No,
I do. I think so.
I think so. No. It looks good. It looks better than. Well, you never know. iPhones do.
I was going to say, what are you talking about? It looks better than an iPhone. It's one of the best cameras you can buy, especially for this type of it's an exterior shot. But I think they had 30 minutes with George, if that. I can imagine Boba Fett. What going to do a documentary on Boba Fett? Hardly had any lines.
Well, everything I do to get rid of this character. You keep bringing him back. Yeah. I remember George doing an interview just prior to the release of episode 2. He was like, he's sitting there in the vineyards and he's exhausted, of course.
Yeah, always.
So I killed Boba, and fans, they wouldn't. No, you can't kill him. So now he's back. Oh God, help me.
Daniel Logan. We got Daniel Logan.
Yeah, we got D-Lo. I just thought I'd pull some audio clips of him just because it's fun to hear Daniel reflect on Boba Fett. And I don't recall hearing this story before, where he talks about sort of how he was introduced to the character of Boba Fett.
My first introduction to Boba Fett really was did a behind-the-scenes interview for Attack of the Clones. And they open up this book that basically explains all the characters. I remember I opened this book and I go,
whoa, I even get the jetpacks.
And I remember the guy behind the camera probably thought, no, kid, you're only going to get a blue jumpsuit. But the original guy has all of this, yes.
Yeah, I don't remember that story either.
I get the backpack. I get the jetpack. No, sorry. Who's going to tell him? Who's going to tell the kid? Who's going to disappoint the kid?
I don't even think he gets to grab it when they pack up, he says, we're leaving. And you see the jetpack sitting there against the, leaning up against the wall. I don't think he probably doesn't get to touch it.
There is a little bit of victory for Daniel because the action figure of his character from episode 2, when it was released in 2002, did come with a helmet and the jetpack.
Oh,
so
I forgot about that.
Even if he couldn't fly in the film, I'm sure, at home he would make himself fly. So
it did not come with the decapitated head of Jango Fett. To have it like roll out of the helmet like it does in the movie, that would be pretty cool.
Oh boy, that would send a lot of kids into psychiatry at a very young age. The head just rolled out. I do remember opening up the Anakin Skywalker action figure for Attack of the Clones, and this was probably released a month or so before the film came out. And when I removed it from the packaging, the arm was detached, and it was there was a magnet there. So, I mean, it was an obvious spoiler that Anakin was going to lose a limb in episode 2.
Yep. Yeah.
Obvious spoiler. Sometimes you just can't avoid it, no matter what you do. You can't.
You know when I thought it was going to happen? I thought it was going to happen when they were on Geonosis, and he was going through the droid factory, and there's this one moment where the arm gets held down, like it gets bolted down, and I go, oh, here it is. Oh no, that's not when it is.
He just broke his lightsaber.
Yep.
Obi-Wan's going to be very angry.
All right, so Steve Sansweet, as we mentioned,
we love
featured
Steve.
into it.
So if I'm going to play highlights, I'm going to feature our friend Steve Sansweet, friend of all Star Wars fans. And he's talking about the Boba Fett, which we were talking about a few weeks ago as we featured Pawn Stars clips on Star Wars and pop culture. And the rocket-firing Boba Fett prototype was the subject matter of that Star Wars and pop culture. And here's Steve Sansweet talking a little bit about it on Under the Helmet.
One of the reasons that Boba Fett has become so popular among collectors is because of the story of the send-away Boba Fett action figure. Here we have two versions of the rocket-firing Boba Fett. The one with a four-sided missile, and this was an attempt to do a locking mechanism with an eight-sided rocket. This is instead what we all got in the mail. Boba Fett in a plastic package with a sonic welded missile in it and a note to consumers. Sorry, the launcher's been removed from the product for safety reasons. If you're unhappy, we'll send you a different figure. The handful that are out there in the public among collectors came from the ones that were tested at Kenner Products in Cincinnati. And when they go up at auctions, they can go into the six figures now.
Right. The guy in Pawn Stars wanted what, 150,000? I think that's what he wanted.
Yeah.
So Steve has two show off, and one of them is fully painted. I forgot he had that one.
Yeah,
he does have a painted prototype. Now the difference is the one on Pawn Stars was fully painted and carded for Toy Fair. Steve's is not that. Steve doesn't have that, and he also doesn't have $150,000 to shell out for it. But maybe we should start a Kickstarter or something.
That needs to be in a museum, and that museum is Rancho Obi-Wan.
It does, Indy. It does. So I'm watching this Under the Helmet documentary, hoping that it's going to wrap up with a few minutes of insight into the Book of Boba Fett, maybe a solid bit of footage behind the scenes, or actual footage from the show, anything. We got nothing. But we did get a little tease from Tim Morrison and Ming-Na Wen, the two stars of the show, besides Jennifer Beals, who's the only other person we know who's actually in this show. But they give us a little tease for the Book of Boba Fett.
You know, all that time since the 80s where Boba disappeared, and now it was like the here he comes, the great comeback.
What happened to Boba Fett after he was swallowed up by the Sarlacc? That's a story in itself.
Where's Boba been?
I think we're going to find out.
That's right. So we've been speculating there's going to be flashbacks. There's a big gap in Boba Fett history between the Battle of Carkoon, when he falls into the Sarlacc pit, and then when he shows up again for the Crate Dragon battle in season 2 of The Mandalorian. There's a big gap there. How did he get out of the Sarlacc pit? How did that happen? Well, with Ming-Na bringing it up in this promo piece confirms that we are going to hear that story. There is no way they're putting in it's not just some offhanded comment that was left in this promo, because we are going to see that, or at least learn the story. But I mean, it's a whole story in itself, she says. So I predict that will be the majority of maybe the first episode will be Boba's history after escaping the Sarlacc pit and his escape from the Sarlacc pit. I always wanted to see, this is what I always pictured in my mind, okay? Sarlacc pit. and you zoom in from the sand dunes and you get to the Sarlacc pit and you see all the debris all around it and stuff. Maybe there's some Jawas scavenging.
Yeah, because it's belching up stuff all the time.
Yeah.
You know.
And well, of course, the debris from the skiff,
right,
and the aftermath of the battle. And so Jawas are there. Maybe there's a sand crawler parked there. And all of a sudden, the Sarlacc pit just starts making a lot of noise. Like it's... And then all of a sudden, there's a little explosion and Boba Fett shoots up out of the thing. Jetpack and all. And then there he is. But the jetpack, malfunctions and he goes spinning out into the sand dune and he's just lying there. And he got blasted out of the Sarlacc pit with such great force that all of his armor flew off of him. So he's just laying there and in his underpants. And the Jawas grab his armor, right? And they get into the sandcrawler and they split. He can't stop them.
You think the Jawas poke him, kind of like Wicket poked Princess Leia? Maybe they could do a little homage. Boba's laying there, on the sands, and there's just a little poke.
I would love to see it. I would love to see it. Or maybe Wicket himself is on Tatooine.
No, he's in the new Willow series. I saw that.
Oh, that's right.
Wicket's in Willow. That was another part of Disney Plus. Yeah, if you were a big Willow fan or certainly a Marvel fan, you got a lot more than what we got Star Wars.
And I think that's what frustrates a lot of fans is not only the fact, was this a lackluster presentation compared to last year's big deal on Disney Investor Day when 10 different films and specials and series were announced. But this time around, we got no reveals about any new projects in the pipeline. There was kind of a subtle confirmation of Bad Batch Season 2. But did we already have confirmation of that in the first place?
We had confirmation that a second season was coming. Yeah, that they announced that right as the series was wrapping up its first season.
So no trailer for the Bad Batch? Mm-mm. No Andor footage, which was rumored? No. Possibly a trailer? And we heard from a really good source that there was going to be an Andor trailer dropping.
Yeah.
We heard from a really good source. But it didn't happen. And we know a lot of people online were reporting there was going to be a Kenobi trailer. That's one we heard wasn't going to happen. Mm-hmm. Nothing from a droid tale.
Right.
What's up with that? It's an animated thing. No announcements about any new animated series. There's been speculation about a potential Darth Maul series. There's also been speculation about a potential series set in the time of the original trilogy based on Ralph McQuarrie's concept design.
Well, I think that this was more about what's coming up in the next year. I think if we look at the next 12 months, that's what they were really looking to cover. And maybe that's why we didn't see Andor, though. We got a clip, we have a clip here about Andor.
Yeah, this has nothing to do with Disney Star Wars Day. No. This happened earlier in the week. One of those classic Walt Disney Company financial results conference calls that everyone loves so much happened this week. And Disney CFO Christine McCarthy confirmed when exactly Andor is going to premiere on Disney Plus.
Q4 will be the first time in Disney Plus history that we plan to release original content throughout the quarter from Disney, Marvel, Star Wars, Pixar, and Nat Geo, all in one quarter. This includes highly anticipated titles such as Ms. Marvel, Andor, and Pinocchio.
There it is.
Yep. Q4 2023.
And Pinocchio.
I'm sorry, 2022.
What are they doing with Pinocchio? Why are they? Can't they come up with anything new? These people, Disney is just like Ms. Marvel. Okay, been there, done that. Yeah. Andor, this is another Star Wars spinoff. And Pinocchio. The hell are they doing with Pinocchio? Get out of here with that. Another remake of Pinocchio? Get out of here.
It's timeless.
Yeah. He wishes he was a boy, but he can't anymore because it's too gender specific. So now he wishes. No, I'm not going down that path, kids. I'm not going down that path. But we are. So the bottom line is, stop laughing, Swan. That's not funny. The bottom line. The bottom line is we're getting Andor in fall of 2022, which is exactly where we were speculating it was going to land on the release schedule. So with that announcement earlier in the week, I thought that was a total precursor that we were going to be getting an Andor trailer on the big Disney Plus day, but it just isn't happening. So it's just not time to be talking Andor yet. I think we need to get by the Book of Boba Fett before we start hearing anything else about future Star Wars streaming projects.
All right. Part of this day was an event that was happening across the country in more than 200 AMC theaters. We talked a little bit about that last week, and Mac, I know you were there. But before we do that, I want to hit some of these super chats. You guys are always so very kind to us. So Chris Hansford saying we don't need to hear George himself, just you guys reading the transcript. Oh, it's very kind. But we do want to actually hear the real George Lucas. And a lot of people, Jim, saying George looked good. Looked like he maybe lost some weight. A little thinner in the face. Not too thin, but a little thinner in the face. So I think, Melody's got him on the elliptical.
Get up on that Peloton, George.
Right.
Oh, I like that trainer. That one on Tuesdays. That's good.
Here we got Chut. This is from David Fieldson. Chut, everyone. Jimmy, I can't keep up with all the content being dropped on Patreon. Love it. Well, I think that's by design, David. I think that's...
You betcha. We got one dropping later today, too. Another RFR Q&A. This is going to be Clone Wars Season 4 with Nate Wenzel. So me and Nate have been going through the Clone Wars season by season and just kind of breaking them down and talking about our favorite moments and stories and everything like that. So Nate's a great RFR VIP, and I appreciate all of our Patreons. You guys are the best. So definitely more content coming. You can count on that.
John Rossi writes, glad they'll be able to connect dialogue from Return of the Jedi, like he's more machine now than man. He assumed Anakin died after episode 3, and Vader saying Obi-Wan once thought as him. Good insight. Yeah, that's true. We may see, like we say, more evolution of the Vader character between this and then what we see in A New Hope. So he may become even more detached from his humanity in between.
Oh, can you imagine when McGregor as Ben comes across Vader for the first time? I guess I'm responsible for that.
There's got to be some element of guilt because he could have taken him out.
He should have taken him out.
Right.
No, I'm just going to take his lightsaber and leave him here to burn to death.
Right.
At that moment, I mean, Ben really should have put him out of his misery.
Yeah.
And it would have done a lot to save the universe.
It's pretty cold just to walk away like that.
See, that's the thing. That's why I think Ben gets compelled to hunt down Vader again, is because while he's in exile, he thinks he's just on a mission to watch after Luke, who's the next hope for the galaxy. But in reality, he realizes that he had failed his previous mission, which was to stop Anakin. Anakin's now Darth Vader, fully committed to the dark side and more powerful than ever before.
Right.
And so then that gives Ben a lot of guilt to live with. So much to the point where he gets too anxious. He gets too twitchy. He can't just sit there and hide out while his creation is wreaking havoc throughout the galaxy.
His creation. That's
I think that's how he might look at it.
That's an interesting take.
through his guilt, that's how he might be dealing with it.
Here's N64 Rescue. Thank you very much. He says, brothers, where would we be without George Lucas? Yeah, we wouldn't be here. That's for darn sure, George. And I will say there's a moment with Dave Filoni in the documentary where he reminds everybody that all of this came from George Lucas. And I think Dave is continuing to, really keep the maker at the forefront of what he's doing, and he doesn't miss opportunities to give credit. So,
no, he keeps the flame alive.
Yes, he does.
And he probably does so. I hope he does so in the hallways and conference rooms.
And Dave, if you're listening, you need a haircut and put the hat back on.
Yeah, what's it? Really letting your freak flag fly, Filoni.
Yeah.
My goodness, we all got a little wild during the pandemic, but you're back in front of cameras now, sir. You got to put that hat back on. Tighten it up. Hey, you know what? I was in the AMC theater last night for the big mystery Star Wars film screening, and I guess it's going on all weekend long. There are 200 AMCs throughout the country that are celebrating Disney Plus Day with 4 surprise screenings of films under the Disney umbrella. You got Pixar film out there, Disney film, Star Wars, of course. And last night we went to go see what the film was going to be. The Babu Freaks and myself. Tyler Page was there with me. Tyler screening our calls right now. And we went to go see what the surprise was. It wasn't much of a surprise because the guys had looked at the running time of the film and compared it with all the other statistics of how long the films in the franchise run, and they found a match. And the match was Rogue One. And that's what happened, Rogue One. But we were told there was going to be a special clip screened, a surprise short. Okay. And so we're excited about that. Some people were saying this is going to be the Andor trailer.
That would make total sense.
I was skeptical, though, because things get launched online now. They don't get launched at 9 p.m. screenings of, $5 screenings of films at 9 p.m. It just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. The short that they screened was The Simpsons. It was a Simpsons short with Maggie as the star. No voice work. It was just Maggie. And
was it Star Wars?
Yeah. We did get to see the Book of Boba Fett trailer, which was pretty exciting.
Oh, on the big screen. That is exciting. Yeah, that's cool.
That was great to see that Bomar Monk all blown up on a big screen was great. And the sound was awesome. The big sound, especially when the Boba Fett music kicked in at the end. That was really good. It was great to see Rogue One on the big screen again. And they gave us these posters.
Oh, that poster is awesome. Look at that.
Yeah. That's
11 by 17. It looks like Book of Boba Fett official poster. How do you got it sitting up like that? Is that on you? Did you mount it on foam core already?
No, it's
perfectly flat. Look at that.
It's just
okay.
up there.
Yeah. Or they were
nice heavy stock.
Yeah, that's nice. That's great.
But it was a lot of fun. Just a great night to get together with Star Wars pals and watch the film. So it's going to be going on all weekend long. Check your local listings. And odds are it's going to be Rogue One at every screening. I don't think they were going to be revolving the films at all. And Rogue One's your best bet because it's so self-contained. It's not part of a trilogy, and it's not solo, which I don't think Disney is ever going to put in a theater again.
I'd be, if I went and it was Force Awakens, I'd be happy. I'd love to see Force Awakens on the big screen again.
So that's what we went to see. Oh, I do have audio here. This is audio of us realizing that it is indeed Rogue One. The mystery Star Wars movie, as it was being revealed, was Rogue One. I kind of had the camera out because I was hoping that they were going to show some and/or trailer or something.
Yeah. Right.
Or I just want to get reaction to whatever. But then the film just started. And so here is our reaction to the mystery Star Wars movie reveal.
Rogue One.
And that's it. Yeah, pretty exciting stuff.
What the? Were you there by yourself? I didn't hear any of the freaks getting excited.
No, they weren't freaking at all. Well, I was
Wow.
sitting next to Tyler, and he's the most mellow freak. He does not freak.
All right.
I've never seen Tyler freak.
Well-
But Billy Mack was sitting next to me.
Uh-huh.
I think he says Rogue One first, and then I say it is Rogue One.
All right. Let's get to some calls.
Just for people who always ask us to do those reaction videos.
Uh-huh.
You know, as you can hear from that audio example, we're not the guys to be doing
No.
it. Oh. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Let's start off with who do we have here? We got all kinds of Patreons in the queue here. Let's go. By the way, phone lines open. Call Tyler. Let him know what you want to say. 708-866-1737. And let's kick
and
things.
can I just say one thing? I get it that almost to fan to fan. I think we're all a little underwhelmed by the Disney Plus reveals. So let's talk about the stuff we did get, as opposed to just calling to simply, to air your frustration. Okay. I think we did that for everyone. And, I just don't want to turn this into the complaint line. I want to make sure we have nuanced Star Wars discussion with the greatest audience of Star Wars fans in the universe.
Everyone just hung up. So
I knew you were going to say that.
all right. Hey, I think we got, is this Rich from Wisconsin?
Hey, chut and choo to you, boys. How you doing tonight?
Doing all right, Rich.
No, Rich, I'm glad you called because Rich reminded me of something this week. He reminded me that there was kind of a disclaimer prior to the Disney investors presentation from last year, because, we're grumbling now about how many projects are going to be canceled. We have lost Rogue Squadron already. We know that Rangers of the New Republic is on shaky ground, if even in production at all anymore. And so, Rich, what was it you saw in that disclaimer before the presentation last year?
I thought it was just like, when I heard, I'm like, okay, so judging by their history, there's a good chance we're not going to get some of this stuff. but
didn't you tell me they said something at the beginning?
Yeah. That little disclaimer like that, I forgot what it was. I think I sent you that in that video clip, but pretty much like a minute and a half into it, they said, now there's some legal stuff, and they pretty much saying, that they reserve the right to make any changes at any time to that, and but honestly, I mean, with this whole thing, I know there's been a lot of groaning and moaning about not getting much Star Wars stuff. I mean, I'm happy with what we got. I look at it like Marvel is like kind of like Marvel is kind of like a pizza party. Everybody kind of likes it. Some people there you might not like, but it's all okay because you got pizza. Star Wars is more like a nice dinner or drink with your friends. It's not as common. It's special.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Marvel, I mean, they keep coming out with stuff all the time. It's not as special. And I like to keep Star Wars special, so I'm fine with it.
I like what you're saying, Rich. You're saying that Marvel is a pizza party where everyone grabs a slice, bring us all the cheap beer we can drink. Meanwhile, Star Wars is like a steak dinner. You sit, you cut into the steak and you evaluate how well it's been cooked to your liking and the flavor and the texture and everything about what wine pairings go best with it. You're much more specific and critical of something like a Star Wars release, I think, than most Marvel releases are consumed by the public. It's a different thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I just feel that there's a very different mindset about this type of thing from the, when you compare the Feige Marvel camp versus the Kathleen Kennedy Lucasfilm camp. I think very, very different mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, Marvel has like so many different universes. So if something's not quite canon or something's not quite, doesn't quite fall in the line of what we read about in the comic books, everybody's fine with it. Whereas,
well, not everybody.
There's really only one universe.
But I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Is there one thing you can point to, Rich, that you saw yesterday that made you most excited?
Yeah, I mean, I love the Obi-Wan thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that concept art was the most exciting part of it.
What was your favorite? What was your favorite piece that you saw on the Obi-Wan? The concept
one where
art.
it seemed like, yeah, the one with Vader on the throne kind of thing, with the hologram. That looked really cool. I was pretty psyched up at that point. I'm like, okay, so it's like, is he actually kind of tracking Obi-Wan kind of thing, or like? So this is kind of like his little Obi-Wan update kind of thing for the day, or what?
It's a report. Here's today's Obi-Wan update. It's Kenobi time. No, you know what it is? It's a report coming back to him from one of his inquisitors. That's who it is.
Yeah.
Wow. That's cool.
We've heard reports of Jedi activity on Tatooine. Go check it out. It could be just a bogus claim. So he sends the Inquisitor, and the Inquisitor says, oh, no, it's not a bogus claim. You might want to take a look at this hologram. Look who it is. He still lives. That's what Vader will say.
He lives.
Master, you still live. He still lives.
Lives.
Lives. Is that you, brother? You, brother? You, brother?
Right. Rich, thanks for calling, buddy. Let's talk to Matthew calling in from Arkansas, another good Patreon member. Hello, Matthew.
Hey, guys. Good to speak with you again.
Oh, likewise, buddy. What's going on?
I was so happy to watch this Boba Fett documentary. I think, one of the things that, at least for me and probably for a lot of us, that drew us to Star Wars was just access to so much behind the scenes stuff back in the day when really that wasn't very common, I think, for movies. And I especially, you guys have talked about this, but I especially like seeing Daniel Logan and Steve Sansweet and of course George. And I'm just wondering, and you guys don't have to comment on this too thoroughly if you don't want to, but it seems like there was sort of this shift away from like the usual folks from fandom over like throughout the release of the sequel movies, and perhaps now that Filoni is kind of back, is in more of an executive position, do you think he might have played a role in kind of bringing some of these folks back and sort of recognizing their contributions to Star Wars? And I mean, because I just felt like it was a very different kind of a documentary and a different kind of focus than what we've got over the past few years. And then just on the Kenobi series, and then I'll go. I think it would be neat to see maybe a small hint or crossover to Andor, or even just seeing a young Leia or Bail Organa, since we're going to see Rebels probably.
Yeah, I will tell you, I have heard a rumor that we will see Leia in the Kenobi series, a strong reference to, or perhaps a cameo by Leia. I like what you're saying about when you. Because I'm with you, Matthew. I thought I was so surprised on many levels about really the focus of the Boba documentary, Under the Helmet. I thought for sure it was just going to be really a sort of a PR piece for the new show. And I also thought, as Jimmy thought, that we were going to get some new footage from Book of Boba Fett. what quelled my disappointment with that was seeing new interviews with Joe Johnston, was seeing new interviews with George Lucas, was seeing that great, as Jim pointed out, that footage that we had never seen in Yuma with the Boba doing the Sarlacc and George shooting second unit, directing it. The question is why the shift? How the shift? Because if that would have been a year or two ago, maybe it wouldn't have focused on George and those guys at all. It's a fair question. I think that it's time heals wounds, and for one. And we also know that Joe Johnston in particular has a real affinity for the character. He's been kind of not lobbying, but has said things in the media about wanting to direct a film about Boba Fett or have some connection to that character's future. So I think that it was an acknowledgement of that. And also there's just a great, profound amount of love and respect for George Lucas within the fans. And we want to see George, as long as George is still around, we want to see George. You don't talk about the legacy of Star Wars without bringing in George if you can. You just don't do it. I don't ever want to see them do that. I would never want to see a Boba Fett retrospective without George Lucas. How dare they? Honestly. While George is still around.
Well, that, and I also feel that, not only bringing George back, but sort of focusing on these fan favorite people, that had been around celebrations and conventions over the years. It's like people that I would have heard more from, like when you guys were first starting out with the Force Cast and all that. And it seems like over the past few years, Disney's been more focused on these groups like Collider and that kind of thing. And maybe it's their way of kind of trying to not apologize, but just try to get back to the fan base is to bring those kind of figures back that we all know and love.
You're right. Giving Jeremy Bulloch all the kudos, Daniel Logan in there, Steve Sansweet in there. It was kind of old school in a way. And as we pointed out before, Dave was on the convention floors in those days in the, what was that? The early to mid 2000s in particular. And saw it firsthand what an impact this character has had on fans, and not just the character, but those that created the character and gave him life. It's a really good observation. Really good observation.
These guys were creating so many different characters for these films in the original trilogy. They were creating all sort of different suits of armor, snowtroopers, TIE pilots, and cloud car pilots and all of these different things. And so they're knocking out Boba Fett just like he's another in the bullpen. They don't think anything about it. And then the character goes on to become so legendary. And it happened so fast too, the way the character became so legendary, just because I think looks alone, he's so damn cool. And there was a coolness and a mystery to the character to begin with. But even Ben Burt says in the documentary, if you told me we'd be talking about this character 40 years later, I would have said, you're crazy, man. It was just something else they were working on.
Right.
But so many elements of Star Wars is still worthy of talking about 40 years later.
One thing I learned that I didn't know before was that the reason that the Super Trooper concept was abandoned was George couldn't afford it, and George was like, they made one of those suits and he's like, we can't make 100 of them. We can only afford one, so that was interesting.
They didn't want Boba Fett though, running around amongst the stormtroopers in all white armor.
Right.
Because anyone watching would assume then that he's part of their ranks.
Mm-hmm.
So he needed to be made distinguishable. And so Joe Johnston just went to town on that white armor with paints and
heat guns and rocks
and a rock pounding with a rock. And George gave him, full range to do whatever he wanted to do. And I said full range. Is it full reign or full range?
It's full reign with an REIGN.
Full
like
range.
They should change it. Maybe they should change it.
I think it should be changed. Full range. But Joe had that and just, hand painted the whole thing. It's outstanding. It's just outstanding work. And it was a team effort. It took a village to bring Boba Fett to life.
For sure. All right, here's Blake, another loyal Patreon member from Florida. Blake, welcome back to RFR. Chut.
Chut, guys. What's going on?
Hey, Blake.
Good to hear from you guys. I actually wanted to talk about the Simpsons short. Overall, for yesterday, I think that I was a little underwhelmed. But that being said, look, we got the Boba Fett, trailer a week ago. I don't know why they didn't just wait a week.
I know.
To have it this week. What's a week? Come on. I don't think there would have been.
I've never seen a company
Twitter
emotionally take the wind out of their own sails like Lucasfilm did this week. It was truly amazing. So they do something.
Yeah,
right,
I don't use. Sure. Yeah, I don't use Twitter. I'm like barely on Facebook or nothing like that. So I don't really know what the internet's saying, but just give it a week, and then you could have had the Boba Fett trailer, and I don't think there would have been as. Like I said, for as limited exposure to the internet that I have, there was been not as much complaining as hey, where's all my Star Wars for this day? But overall, I love the Boba Fett little mini documentary was really good. I really got a little emotional seeing the whole Jeremy Bullock tribute, I guess you could call it. I remember seeing it because I live in Florida now. I grew up in Maryland. I used to go to Philadelphia for Wizard World, and I remember seeing him when I was a little kid. And so that it hit a lot of good strings with me. But my favorite thing from yesterday was The Simpsons, which is what I want to talk to you guys about, because I think there might have been more Simpsons in Star Wars in The Simpsons short than there was Star Wars in general yesterday, and it was beautiful. Now let me get this. So Jimmy, you saw this short, but Jason, you haven't.
I have not seen it. Is it available on Disney Plus, or is it just limited to the theaters?
It is the front and center on the Disney Plus app.
Oh, okay.
It's like
all right.
It's one of the first things you see, and it is full of Star Wars. It goes from BB-8 to Max Rebo. Which shocked me because I just went to a toy show in Orlando and I just bought a Max Rebo Funko, and I told my wife, I was like, hey, you see that blue elephant? I'm like, she's like, yeah. I was like, that's my Funko over there. She's like, you're a dork. I was like, I know. But
hey,
the point is,
say it loud, say it proud.
That's right. There's a lot of love for Star Wars in the Simpsons short, and not to reopen a can of worms, but I remember when Bad Batch was coming out, and we saw a lot of the Sunfire stuff. We're like, oh, is Disney kind of watering down the violence, and they're trying to make it a little bit more family friendly. And this Goofy was getting drunk on Duff beer with Homer Simpson in Moe's Tavern in this short. As DP ran over the empty beer bottles, it was like, okay, you know what? I don't think Disney is as stingy as we all think they are with their properties.
Yeah.
Because this had a lot of,
it was irreverent.
Not R-rated, but,
yeah, irreverent, right?
With that,
it was irreverent. It sounds
yeah.
It
wasn't R-rated by any means, but it was Simpsons humor, adult. I guess you can say somewhat adult humor, and it was heavily Star Wars. It may have been more Star Wars represented in that Simpsons short than, even their own Disney stuff. So.
All right.
For me, it was kind of
slow down for a second. Are you telling me? Hold on 1 second? Are you telling me that you went to go see Rogue One in the theaters yesterday?
No, it would do it.
I knew you didn't. I knew you didn't because you're talking about a different Simpsons short than the one they showed in the theaters yesterday. You're talking about the Simpsons short, The Force Awakens from its nap. That would have made sense.
No, I'm not.
If they showed that one, but they didn't. They showed one called Play Date with Destiny. And it was about Maggie Simpson meeting another baby, and she falls for him. They have it's a romance.
That's not what's on the Disney Plus app. If you go on the Disney Plus app, I don't know what it's called.
It's called The Force Awakens from its nap. And it came out last year.
I know what you're talking about because I've seen that, but that is not what's on the Disney Plus app. It's called it's got some weird name with anniversary at the end of it, but it was made for the 2-year Disney Plus anniversary, and
I see it. The
I guess
Simpsons
completely different from what they showed in theaters.
Okay. All right, you're absolutely right. The Simpsons in Plusiversary. Is that what you're talking about?
That's what it's called. Yeah. Yep.
And that has Star Wars content within it.
I mean, dude, when I said there may have been more Star Wars in that than even their own Disney properties, I wasn't joking. I mean, like I said, from BB-8 to Stormtroopers to Max Rebo to Darth Vader drinking Duff beer through his mask, and it pouring all over him. Dude, it is full of Star Wars and other Disney stuff. But yeah, dude, it is incredible, and it was not made family friendly. Again, like I said, when I say not made family friendly, it's not. I mean, it's a Simpsons. It's not rated R.
Right,
but
right. It's it's not exactly Family Guy.
Star Wars.
No.
Yeah.
Max Rebo is sitting at Moe's Tavern though at the bar drinking a Duff beer. I'm looking at the clip right now, and I'm sorry, I was confused by what you were saying because the short that we saw in the theater had nothing to do with Star Wars actually, and it was just about Maggie Simpson falling in love with another baby boy at the playground. But you're talking about a new short called The Simpsons in Plusiversary. And yeah, there's definitely Star Wars stuff. There's stormtroopers at the bar wearing bow ties. There's all kind of wacky stuff. So thanks for calling and tipping us off to it, Blake. But and I'm sorry for being confused, but you could see why, because it was a totally different short that I saw in the theater.
Why do you think they would do that, Jimmy? Then why would they show a different short for the? I mean, because the reason you went to the theater was for a 2-year Disney Plus anniversary special, and they're not showing like the Simpsons special that they're highlighting. Again, for me, at least in my home down here in Florida, I mean, it was one of the top 3 things we could click on when we logged onto the app. Now, why are they not showing that in the theaters, but when you log on in your home, your home app, that's one of the first things you see.
Should I get my $5 back from AMC? What should I do? Should I contact them and
you can buy a beer
refund? They might ask for this cool poster back though if I do that, and I don't want to give this up. I want this poster to stay in my house. But a lot of times you can't figure out any rhyme or reason for how these marketing promotions go down, and it seems like it's a bunch of calls being made by chucklehead executives who don't have a creative bone in their body, interfering in things they shouldn't be interfering in.
Thanks, Blake. Appreciate it very much.
Thanks, Blake.
Few more calls here. Let's go. Hey, one of our favorites. I think this is Mariana, another Floridian.
Hey, Chut, guys.
Chut. Great to hear from you.
Thanks. It's been a while since I called on here.
Yeah.
But a lot has happened the last time we spoke.
Well,
and I wanted to tell y'all something really cool that happened to me a couple months ago. This is kind of a subject regarding Obi-Wan and, the Disney Plus, which I'm not going to lie, I was kind of expecting a trailer or maybe another sizzle reel. Mm-hmm. But I got to meet the chosen one himself 2 months ago at Florida SuperCon.
Yay. I think I saw the pictures online.
Yeah. I did, yes. And let me tell you guys. Okay, so I've heard stories about Hayden and how everyone's had such a positive encounter with him.
Yeah.
I'm here to call in to confirm that those reports are true. My goodness, he was so kind to me and my friend, and I kind of blurted out that I had a crush on him since I was 9, and he took it. And he took it in the nicest way. He was like, "Oh, thank you." So that's cool. And also, I asked him about, I was like, what was your reaction when Rosario Dawson, which I had no clue for like a couple of years that they were friends since they were kids, that she had been cast as Ahsoka. And he's like,
whoa. Hold on. Wait. I didn't know this. Rosario Dawson and Hayden Christensen have been friends since they were young?
She from
yeah,
Canada?
I read that they They went to, I think, an acting school together in New York.
No kidding.
Forgot
in
which
New York.
one. And,
Okay.
and Scarlett Johansson was also in that program too. I don't remember. I have to look it up again. But
That's
yeah,
cool.
He's
Yeah.
known her for years.
That's great.
That's why I told him. That's why I told him that John and Dave, they hit it out of the park when they casted her. I was super happy with her casting because this was the bond between Anakin and Ahsoka. So yeah, I was. Yeah, and another cool thing from that encounter with him is that we were supposed to sign his autographs at 12 o'clock. He came in at 11:30 because there was a huge line.
Oh, boy, I love to hear that. I love to hear the fans. I love to hear about the fans opening their arms to Hayden. I think that's awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah. And him showing up early, I mean, that's like a page right out of Ashley Eckstein's book. And when you want to talk about great Star Wars fan ambassadors, she's sitting at the top of the hill. And so, yeah, you like to see that.
So I wanted to ask you guys, now with Obi-Wan hyping up and all of this talking and mentions of Hayden from both from Ewan and Deborah and all the other cast members, do you guys think we might see him in the near future doing interviews, maybe dropping hints? Because let me tell you, I tried to ask him. I was like, can you tell us anything about the show? And he straight up told me, he said, no. So I was so close.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think?
Well, it's interesting. They're keeping him under wraps. He'll emerge. I think once we see him back, on screen, maybe after if we see him in a trailer, reveal or something. I think when they get into really hyping up Kenobi, Hayden will be on the PR. He'll be on the PR train. He was already supposed to be on the PR train with Ian McDiarmid back when they were hyping up The Last Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker.
Or excuse me, Rise of Skywalker.
And their panel. And their
panel was canceled, remember?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I remember that.
And there was more than one show where they were put together. So, Mariana, if you don't mind, I've got the picture right here of you and Hayden, I believe, on the screen.
Oh, are you bringing it up?
Yeah, it looks like you're doing that Star Trek II Wrath of Khan. When Spock and Kirk are separated by the glass, Spock's dying there. Remember?
No, I was trying to do like the touching, like with Rey and Kylo Ren.
Oh, okay, all right. Let's keep it Star Wars.
That's what we were
of
trying
course.
to do. I'm actually surprised that he knows who. I'm surprised he actually now knows who Ahsoka is, because I've seen pictures of him signing the autographs and saying, "Hey," like snips of the girl dressed as Ahsoka. I'm like, oh wow. So it looks like he now knows.
Wait. He's calling Ahsoka's at the convention snips.
Well, I think I saw a picture that he signed.
Oh, I love that.
Snips. So I'm like,
I love it.
I'm like,
I
like
love
the
it.
name.
Boy, that'd be really interesting if Hayden calls Ahsoka snips in the Ahsoka series.
I want to see it.
Oh,
I want to see it.
Hayden Christensen deliver that kind of stuff.
I think Rosario might have dropped by accident. She called him Sky Guy. They know, and then she deleted that comment. I don't know if you guys heard that when it was announced.
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah,
I didn't see that.
I think she deleted the comment. I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
that's because she was responding to something that wasn't an official announcement from Lucasfilm. It was something the trades were reporting via leaks, and Lucasfilm doesn't like their actors to comment on anything outside of their official announcements, and that makes sense. So I think she didn't realize that it was just the trades reporting it as opposed to the studio. So she quickly removed it. That's smart, I guess. It's not going to hurt anyone, but she's basically confirming the reports by doing that, though.
Right.
So it puts her on the hot seat.
Yeah.
And Rosario's done this before. So if you're looking for anyone to slip up and start talking about the Ahsoka series, go to the next convention Rosario Dawson is signing at and ask her, because she'll probably tell you what the whole season's about.
Mariana, we love you, and thanks for calling in, and really glad to hear that story,
Thanks, guys.
meeting
Thank
Hayden.
you.
Take care. We'll talk to you soon. All right, we got time.
Steve Filoni was wearing a crew shirt from the Book of Boba Fett in the documentary.
Oh, was he really?
Yeah, he was sitting on the back porch of the main house at Skywalker, and
in the George Lucas
Boba
seat.
Fett crew shirt. It said set decoration on it.
Oh,
set decoration.
Is that right?
Well, it's probably something he just bought at the store at Lucasfilm. But speaking of shirts,
yeah,
I have to say, I think Ben Burt pulled one out of mothballs for this one because he's wearing a shirt with the Sprocket Systems logo on it. Now, if you don't know what Sprocket Systems is, that's okay, because that was the original name Skywalker Sound operated under until 1987. Skywalker Sound didn't become a company until George Lucas built Skywalker Ranch and put his sound department there in the technical building. That's when it was named Skywalker Sound. Before that, it was known as Sprocket Systems. And Ben is wearing a Sprocket System shirt that has to be 40 years old. I don't think I have a piece of clothing in my closet that's 40 years old.
I love it. I love those clips of Ben Burt, interviewing this new character, Boba Fett, with the microphone, doing that whole thing. So you're Boba Fett. Yeah. That's so funny.
I do love that video.
All right. We got time for one more. This is John from New York, another Patreon member. Hello, John.
Hey, guys. Very good to speak to you again. Chet. I'm calling to talk to you guys about, I don't know if you, Jason, or you, Jimmy, have seen this quick 35 second spot on YouTube. It's more or less an advertisement for the Legacy of Boba Fett documentary. And it's like 32 seconds, and there's some music that accompanies it. And it's like, it's got a quick it's got a quick percussion line that they're getting. It's like, dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. And I don't know if you guys have heard that, but it is I haven't heard that before, and it was on that quick 32 second advertisement.
Hold on, let's see if this is it. Let's see if this is it. This is on YouTube, the official Star Wars channel.
Certainly. You didn't know who he was, you didn't know where he came from.
But he didn't get much screen time.
When he put the costume on and walked onto the set.
Yeah, that's
silence.
it.
You said, whoa.
That percussion?
Despite his lack of screen time, next to no dialogue, he's everywhere.
The world was ready for this bounty hunter.
Under the Helmet, The Legacy of Boba Fett, now streaming only on Disney+.
That doesn't sound like anything Ludwig Göransson would have composed. That just sounds like typical production house music that would be used for anything,
okay,
in my opinion.
Okay, I've never heard of it. I've never heard that before, and I was just wondering if you guys thought it was possible that was just some sort of like cueing us into, that's some sort of theme music from Boba Fett from the new show. It'd be great, but I mean, I'm a big boy. I can I can understand that that's just something that they threw together. But what did you guys think?
He's a big boy, Henry. He knows what he said. What'd you say? What'd you say? I'm sorry, I'm going into Goodfellas now. But no, I think that's just off-the-shelf production music from a library that a studio or broadcast outlet would have licensed. And it could be used for anything from a Boba Fett trailer to a commercial for butter.
Right. Yeah, it'd be action-packed butter to use that. Yeah. Well, thanks very much. Thanks for calling. Appreciate it. Thanks to everybody who's joined us this week or this go around for the after show. It's been a lot of fun to chat with everybody about it. There were, I think, look, we had almost a 2-hour discussion about what we saw. So, would we have liked to have seen more? Of course, we always want more. Always want more. But that just gives us more to look forward to. We still haven't seen footage from Kenobi. We haven't seen more footage from Andor. We know that that's coming. We know that Andor is coming at the end of next year. So imagine if they keep up with these Disney Plus days, what are we going to see a year from now? I think it's going to be pretty exciting. And Kenobi, I mean, just the concept art alone that we saw confirmed some things that we have been speculating about. Also raises a lot of other questions. I think there was plenty to get excited about. But was Disney Plus Day overhyped? Yeah, I think it was a little overhyped. I think it under-delivered. So sadder but wiser are we. But still, it was new Star Wars. There was more information. I really enjoyed the Boba Fett documentary. Like Jim said, it could have been released at any time, really. But really good to see, as a Patreon member earlier called and said, great to see kind of that old school Daniel Logan, Jeremy Bullock, Joe Johnston, all of that, like back in the day. So I had a good time. And I definitely had a better time because it ended in this 2 hours with you all, so which is always a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. I think the whole day would have gone over much better if they held off the Book of Boba Fett trailer for Disney Plus Day, and that damn Kenobi sizzle reel didn't leak. Or if they actually gave us a real sizzle reel and not footage that they pieced together a year ago for Investors Day last year. But hey, we got what we got, and that's newsworthy stuff still, nonetheless. It's all newsworthy, and that's what we're here to talk about on Rebel Force Radio, is the latest Star Wars news. And so if the hype doesn't live up to its promise, that's one thing, but at least we still have definitely newsworthy content to sink our teeth into. And that's exactly what we did during this show. So thank you to all of our callers. Thank you, Tyler Page.
Tyler!
No, Tyler, you were really bummed last night. There were tears in your beer last night.
Beard?
Or beard. No, there was mustard in his beer, or in his beard, and there was tears in his beard.
Tyler's going out for, he sees there's an opening in ZZ Top. That's what I see.
It is impressive.
Couple openings.
Yeah. I'm it was a disappointing day, I won't lie, but I'm not going to let that get to me. The Kenobi stuff will hold me over. I have one question for you guys. What do you think is going to lead Kenobi to go to Coruscant? I know I'm sort of trying to think if they're trying to get the sequel trilogy in line, maybe he's going to get the sacred texts, the sacred Jedi texts, or something that they need to get out of the temple, assuming it's not destroyed.
I think you hit on it. I don't know about the text specifically, but I think it's going to be about going back to the Jedi Temple. And Jim, when we were looking at that production, or the concept art, this one in particular, we were saying, could this be the Jedi Temple? Could be the Jedi Temple at night. It's occupied by the Empire, obviously highly guarded. Look at all of them. And I think, Tyler, you bring up a good one. Is he there to get something out of the Jedi Temple? It's a great thought. Very good thought.
I'd like to think that Kenobi is involved somehow in trafficking Grogu to safety. I think that would fit into this part of the timeline pretty well. That's something I think would fit in well on the Kenobi series. However, we know that the strongest story thread that's going to be propelling this series is going to be his eventual showdown with Darth Vader and everything that leads up to it. So I don't know if they want to then force in a Baby Yoda appearance to kind of derail the direction the story's going in, but there's a lot of episodes to play with, so hopefully they'll find some way to get our favorite little green guy in there, right? Look at him. He's just, it's like I act like I'm the only person in the world who owns one of these things because I give him a lot of screen time on the show, but there he is, Baby Yoda. And I just love him so much. So
look at how do you look at that face? Look at that face.
Look at that face.
And Baby Yoda's pretty cute too.
Yeah. Well, you're looking at me and Tyler. So,
Yes, yeah.
Baby Yoda and Tyler, I should say. But there he is. And so maybe we'll see him. Maybe we'll see him in the Kenobi series.
Tell you what, you're going to see a lot more of Rebel Force Radio after show when the Book of Boba Fett premieres December 29th. Jim, I was just looking at the schedules. We were plugging in some sponsor info and things like that. Like, wow, we've got a heck of a holiday season ahead of us. And then, of course, right even before the new year, we've got Book of Boba Fett starting up on Wednesday nights. So
yeah.
It's going to be exciting for sure.
2023 is going to be a busy one.
It is.
For Star Wars fans. So
it is.
So get your rest now, kiddies, because we're going to be running a marathon, a Star Wars marathon, and we hope you guys are all along to run with us. And it's going to be great. It's going to be a great time.
It's going to be fun. Hey, if you want more Rebel Force Radio in your life, there is no better way to do that than become a Patreon member. Most, if not all of the callers tonight actually were members of our Patreon group. So check that out. Just go over to rebelforceradio.com and click on the Patreon banner, or go to patreon.com/rebelforceradio. All the details there. In addition to getting to the head of the queue, when you call in on these after shows, there's a whole bevy of exclusive podcasts that you can't find anywhere else. They're only available to Patreon supporters. So check that all out over there. Also, YouTube. Love doing these live streams on YouTube, so please make sure you're a subscriber. Costs you nothing to subscribe, and click the notification bell on YouTube. Just go to youtube.com/rebelforceradio, and when we do these live shows, you'll get notified. In addition to that, so much of the Rebel Force Radio archives, even stuff that doesn't have video behind it, some of the great audio interviews like Jimmy was talking about earlier with Jeremy Bullock. You'll find playlists with guys like Jeremy, David Prowse, and some of these legends that we've lost. We're proud to have those interviews all available for you to stream and listen to on our YouTube channel. So check it out, youtube.com/rebelforceradio. And even if we're not taking live calls, the lines are always open at 708-320-1737. That's 708-320-1RFR, the voicemail line. We love to have your voicemails. So please, can't stress this enough, leave us voicemails. We love the voicemails. 708-320-1RFR. We play them on the regular weekly Rebel Force Radio show. Or if you want, you can just send us a voicemail or, a audio clip of your, what do you call it? Audio recordings or something like that from your phone. Send it to show@rebelforceradio.com. Also, follow us on our social media channels on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. That Twitter handle, by the way, is RFR Rebel Force. RFR Rebel Force. But the main thing is just keep listening. Keep listening to Rebel Force Radio. We don't care what podcatcher you use. It could be Apple Podcasts. It could be iHeart, TuneIn, Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon, Audible. Doesn't matter. Pandora, Samsung. Anywhere you can find podcasts, you'll find us here at Rebel Force Radio. Until next time, we'll see you. For Rebel Force Radio, I'm Jason.
I'm Jimmy Mack.
You want to,
Go
Tyler?
ahead, Tyler.
You want to do it?
Oh, wow. And I'm Tyler.
And remember,
the Force will be with you, always.
We'll see you next time.